It's that time of the week again. Speaking sports on the air. Talking basketball and football today. Got CV McCoy and B Ray in the house. Welcome in. What's up, boys? How are y'all doing today? Oh, I got y'all on mute. I bet try it now.
The best.
If this was an airplane, I'd be dead now, but that's really kind of wrong thing to say since CV's about to get on an airplane.
Yeah, let's don't talk about that.
No. Hey, real quick, because I know we're going to lose you, and we're going to get to football here. And we weren't going to do a show this week, but there was so much turmoil in college football on Saturday, I felt like we needed to say something. But real quick, Kevin, I don't know if you noticed, but Memphis beat UConn 99-97 in overtime today.
No, I was watching that game in the airport a while ago, and actually Memphis was up like 12 points, and they came back and tied it up. And I walked away from it because I just knew that Penny was going to get out coached. So, but boy, was I wrong.
Yeah. I didn't even know they were on. I think I saw something pop on my phone about it. And then first of all, why were they playing in the afternoon?
They were in the Maui Classic.
Oh, is that? I thought that was usually after Thanksgiving.
Time.
Okay. Well, so
I guess they built it up so much now. You don't know when they were, because I agree with you. I think it used to be after Thanksgiving, around Christmas, like the week before Christmas or something.
Are there
like
any
that.
good matchups over there this year? I'm calling it up to see what's happening.
I'm not really talking about women's basketball, but there was a huge upset yesterday in women's basketball.
You know what? I know so little about women's basketball.
Carolina.
Well, now I do know enough to know that if South Carolina gets beat, that's something.
I think they've won like 43 games in a row and 33 games in a row on the road.
Well, maybe that
they hadn't got beat since Miss Caitlin Clark beat them.
Oh well, that's too bad for them.
A few years ago.
Wow.
B Ray, you don't watch much basketball, do you?
You know, usually I pick up basketball kind of in January and February, right after football season's over. But I will follow, like during the week. You know, now that you got football on every night, it's hard to. But I will watch basketball. I've watched Duke a couple times this year, actually, and they got a really good young player named Cooper Flagg that I don't know a lot about, but he's from Maine, ironically, and he practiced against the Dream Team over the summer, and there was a lot of talk about he was an excellent basketball player. But that's about, and I just happened to be flipping channels when I caught that. But usually I kind of get into basketball in January.
Kevy, I see. Well, of course, we typically talk football on this show, and we've talked a lot about Iowa State this year because their name has been mentioned in the Big 12, and they've been were undefeated for quite a while. They're number 5 in basketball, taking on Auburn tonight at 8:00, and Auburn looks to be like a 3.5. I don't know why they do a point spread in basketball. I don't think it means anything, but Auburn and Iowa 4 and 5 matching up this early in the season. Where did Iowa State come from?
If you look back in the past couple of years, I mean, it's no surprise that Iowa State is ranked up there, because they've been, in the Big 12, and sometimes they get overlooked because Kansas is in the Big 12, and, Kansas is Kansas. But if you look at some of the tournaments the last couple of years, Iowa State I want to say they went to the Final 8 last year.
Is that right?
And I'm here at the airport, don't have my stats in front of me, but
you're supposed to know this stuff off the top of your head. You're the expert.
Yeah, I know, but sometimes I'm old and I forget stuff. Sorry.
Let's see. So yeah, Memphis and UConn played. It looks like Dayton and North Carolina are going to play. That'll be a laugher. Arkansas is playing Maryland Eastern Shore. That ought to be a barn burner. But Xavier's going to play at South Carolina, so that might be a good game. And then looks like there's games, all throughout the week. There won't be any more until Friday. And I'm not seeing any lights out. Although there's lights, I'm not seeing any lights out matches coming up, but so I'm going to shift gears a little bit and go over to football. B Ray, I know you were watching. Cavi, were you watching any of the games on Saturday? Because it was like a 3-ring circus Saturday night.
Yeah, it was pretty exciting if you pull for the underdogs.
Oh, and I do.
I think the shocking thing to me, the Alabama game really in Oklahoma really didn't shock me as much. I think as Colorado going down to Kansas, playing on the road in SEC is pretty tough. And Oklahoma, they've got players. And anytime you got to go on the road, like Ole Miss had to go on the road at Florida, Alabama had to go on the road at Oklahoma. And Colorado was playing in Kansas City versus Kansas, which is kind of a home game. Those are just difficult places to play. BYU, I think, was playing at Arizona State. This time late in the year in college, it's just hard to go on the road and beat somebody. And I think that was really evident over the weekend.
Well, I think that what the most about what happened on Saturday was the fact that it was Revelation Saturday. It's almost like the apocalypse in college football because, and I'm going to go down the list here, Army revealed itself to be not very good, comparatively speaking, to all the powerhouses in the land. Indiana revealed themselves not to be very good compared to all the powerhouses in the land. Let's see what Alabama revealed themselves to be human and not the powerhouse Alabama of old. Ole Miss revealed themselves not to be as good as everybody thought they were. And let's see, seemed like there was one more. BYU revealed themselves not to be as good as everybody thought they were. And then it really kind of slicked out all the conference championships coming up a week from Saturday.
Well, I'm a numbers man, and so everything kind of regresses to the mean. And let's be honest, you kind of reveal who you are. And Ole Miss, it's an 8 or 9 win program in a great year. That's just what they are. And I think you're kind of seeing evident of it. And they're going to end up they probably will beat Mississippi State and end up 9-3, which is a good year. It's going to feel like a bad year because they were favored for the playoffs, and they're going to end up losing to 2 unranked teams, Kentucky and Florida. And we talked about it, dude, last week, Florida's got players. The problem with Florida is not athletes. They've got players. And at some point, they're going to all put it together. And it's the coach's responsibility to get them to put it together every week. Now, that's a whole nother conversation. But Florida is going to finish with 7 wins, 7-5, and get a decent bowl game because they got Florida State this week. Everybody had written them off. So you think going into the offseason, Florida is going to be sky high at 7-5, and Ole Miss is licking their wounds.
CV, what was the game that surprised you the most Saturday night?
The game that surprised me the most was the Kansas-Colorado game. But at the end of the game, I think I saw a stat where they said that it's the first time in like 40 years in the FBS that a team has beat an unranked team 3 games in a row, or a ranked team 3 games in a row. With Kansas has beat 3 ranked teams in a row.
What do you think that's because it's uncommon for it to happen, or that typically after the 2 wins they get ranked in the top 25?
I mean, it's the first time it's happened in 40 years, so I got to believe it's uncommon for it to happen.
There's no room in the top 25 right now. They're all jockeying for position to get in the playoff. B-Ray's Alabama in at with 3 losses?
No, not at this moment.
Boy, they think they are. Why are they listed number 12 in the ranking?
Well, they're going to get bumped by let me pull the rankings up here, but I think Alabama's out. I think right now there's only 3 SEC teams in it as we sit today. Tennessee, Texas, and Georgia. And let's see, AP top 25. Let me get it pulled up here. And I think that's the only other team that can possibly play their way in. I think is A&M, and that's if they win out.
Right. So they're saying,
you think about this. You've got Arizona State is going to be playing for a Big 12 championship. Bama's ranked 13th. You got Arizona State playing for a championship in the Big 12. I'm not sure if they'll be playing. Maybe they're playing Iowa State. I don't know. I haven't really looked at that. But, I mean, you can look at Boise State's in. You got Oregon, Ohio State, Penn State, Notre Dame, and Georgia, the top five. They're all in. Tennessee, and this is where it gets mucky. Tennessee's in. You got Miami, SMU, and Clemson playing for one, maybe two spots out of the ACC. Indiana's hoping for an at-large. The Big 12 champion, which is ranked below Alabama, is going to get an at-large bid. And so Alabama's they're on the outside looking in right now. A lot would have to happen. And Auburn, just beating Auburn next week is not going to be enough.
So if A&M beats Texas, is Texas out? Are they out?
No, Texas is in.
You think Texas is in either way?
Yep.
So the best thing that happened for the SEC is that A&M beat Texas and go to the championship game and win.
Correct. Then you're guaranteed to get 4 in. I think.
But so you're letting Georgia in with 3 losses?
Georgia only has 2 losses.
But if they lose the SEC championship game, they'll have 3.
Yeah, Georgia at let's see, they'll be 10-2. I think Georgia gets in at 10-3.
Wow, Cavi, you got any thoughts on that?
I think it'd be hard to keep Georgia out, and I think it would be a much easier to keep Alabama out with 3 losses because they've had some bad losses.
Their losses are the worst. Absolutely, I agree.
Yes.
And maybe that's the thing, you look at a team like Alabama and you think, oh, they're not as good as they have been. And you look at Georgia, who's had, similar season, but everybody assumes that they're better.
Yeah. We're about to board here, guys.
Okay.
I'm hopping off.
Thanks for joining us. We'll y'all be safe. We'll see you on the next one. That's CV McCoy, our basketball expert, who is in the airport.
I think that's interesting, Dave, because Bama did beat Georgia, and I think Bama's losses are just bad. They lost to 2 unranked teams, Oklahoma and Vandy. And Georgia's losses are at Ole Miss and at Bama, and those losses they just look better. But let's be honest. Depending on what lens you're looking at this through, whether you're a Georgia fan, an Alabama fan, you think they both deserve to be in. And it's just, if you're just me looking at the eye test, I mean, Tennessee's looking better because they beat Florida and Bama, and they've lost to Georgia and Arkansas. And so, I don't know. I think you could argue that all 3 of those teams, Tennessee, Georgia, and Bama, just looking at the eye test to me, Georgia just looks better than the other 2, and that's just my opinion.
Oklahoma kind of saved their season with that win Saturday, didn't they?
Oh, they did. Absolutely, they did.
I mean, they're looking back, first year in the SEC, and they got a win over Alabama and a win over Ole Miss. And Ole Miss is a highly ranked team at the time.
No, they didn't beat Ole Miss.
I'm sorry. Who'd they beat Saturday?
They beat Alabama Saturday. Ole Miss lost to Florida.
Well, does Oklahoma have another big win, or is that the only one they got?
Oklahoma Center football. Let's just pull the schedule up.
I think I just went into a coma. Call 911 for a wellness check.
Let me see here, dude.
Oh, I can go over here to standings. SEC. Oklahoma.
Okay, Oklahoma's got wins over Houston, Tulane, Auburn.
Yeah, that was a big win over Alabama.
Maine and Bama. They hadn't beat anybody.
No,
they lost to Missouri, Ole Miss, South Carolina beat the crap out of them. Texas beat the crap out of them. They barely beat Auburn. They beat the kind of middle of the road teams, and they've lost to teams that were probably on their level or a little better. So, yeah, this is mediocre Oklahoma team.
Yeah. Well, first year, hey, listen, I can't remember the last time Arkansas had a win over Alabama and wouldn't have got one this year either, So.
Well, and Oklahoma finishes at LSU next week. So,
yeah. All right. Let's take a quick break, pay a couple of bills. You're listening to Speaking Sports, Talking Football. We'll be right back after this word from KRT Athletic Muscle Cream. Every championship, every game, every rep, every workout takes its toll on the body. Get ready for the next one. KRT Athletic Muscle Cream, proud partner of the Big 12 Athletic Conference. Proud partner of the Big 12 Athletic Conference, and I'm going to actually be at the Big 12 Athletic Conference football championship starting next Thursday in Arlington. They're having it at Jerry World. We're going to do a podcast from one of the bars there in Dallas, and then we're going to be exhibiting with the KRT folks at Big 12 Fan Fest, and then I got some tickets to the game. I'm going to play some golf with some of the Big 12 honchos. It's going to be a big old time. So I guess that's sponsorship has its privilege.
It sounds like it to me.
And I'm getting paid to go. Even better.
Well, yeah, that really stinks.
Only thing that make it better is if I was in a suite at the stadium in Arlington. Then you wouldn't speak to me again, though. So that would.
Yeah, that's right.
It'd just be over. Looks like maybe for the first time all year, the polls at the top mirror each other pretty good all the way down through number 6. And then there's some discussion over whether or not Miami's better than Tennessee. And then the rest of it shakes out pretty good through the top 12.
I think, here's the question. And a lot of, you read a lot of stuff is Indiana going to be in at 11? They're going to be 11-1, and people are talking about should they be in or not, because they really don't have a quality win over anyone. And I will say this. I don't know if you saw the end of the game, but Ohio State got in the victory formation down inside the 5 and then tricked them around a quarterback sneak to kind of run the score up.
Yeah.
And I thought it was kind of a low class move by Ryan Day.
Yeah.
And if you want to line up in the I formation and then run a quarterback sneak, that's one thing, but to get in the victory formation and you're up by a couple touchdowns with less than a couple seconds to go would just I thought that was kind of a low class move. But as we've always talked about, it's your responsibility to stop me.
That's right.
And and we're going to play 60 minutes.
Okay.
But if Indiana would have blitzed through there, took a shot on the quarterback, and then it'd all be raising hell about
okay,
it. So
but maybe that's why you just get in victory formation and take the knee right there, or
that's right.
You just run off tackle.
That's exactly right.
Run the old ISO play. Yeah. Let them stack you up, or if they can't stop you on ISO, you're right, absolutely right. Yeah, the onus is on. Right. But when you're beat, and you're going to run a fake, that's just there's no class in that.
That's like sending somebody to blitz on the end and take a shot at the quarterback. When he's backing up to go down, it's low class. But I wouldn't expect anything less from that bunch at Ohio State.
Yeah, I think you take your cues from the other team, and I don't doubt there was anything happening on the other side of the football that made you think, oh yeah, let's stick the knife in and twist it right here.
Yeah. And there seemed to be a little bad blood between that Ohio State and Indiana. So I don't know what was said during the week or whatever, but there's a little bad blood there. And good for Indiana to be involved in the game that had bad blood, other than Purdue battling for the Independence Bowl.
Yeah, the big games this week. I don't know what to think about this Texas A&M matchup. I think it's anybody's ball game, and it's going to come down to which team shows up. Either one of them are capable of winning the ball game, and either one of them are capable of spitting the bit out and losing it.
I don't know. A&M reminds me a lot of LSU you just expect so much every year, and then here you are teetering on having a 3-loss season or 4-loss season.
Yeah.
I just don't understand it. And Elko, I was surprised when he got the A&M job, but I mean, does facing A&M with Mike Elko as coach, and does that just really make you just, oh my God, what are we going to do this weekend? It doesn't me. And I don't know a lot about coaching a major college football team. All I know is what I see. But A&M is about who everybody thought they would be. Right here with about 2 or 3 losses going into the Texas game and trying to salvage a decent year. So
we'll see what happens. How some programs are habitually like that, regardless of who the players are, who the coaches are, who the administration are. Is just some schools out there, and LSU's like that more years than not. LSU is like that. Ole Miss is like that. Arkansas is like that. South Carolina's like that more times than not. Even a team like Alabama that is habitually up there, when they go sour for a while, but they come back to that same level. If Arkansas or A&M or Ole Miss starts to suck worse than they do now, when they do come back, but when they do, they don't really come back. There's a plateau there that they always seem to hit. You can always count on them.
Yeah, it's kind of like you are who you are, and the reality is those programs, like Ole Miss, they're gonna end up 9-3 probably. That's a good year, winning 9 games and being in the SEC conference, and that's just about who they are. We talked about when Bobby Petrino coached Arkansas. The year they finished in the top 3 or 4 in the country, a lot of people considered one of the greatest Arkansas teams. They finished 3rd in the division.
Yeah.
And so, it's
that's probably what Sham felt like in the Triple Crown against Secretariat that year.
That's right. That's exactly. And I think too, honestly, what if South Carolina beats Clemson?
Well, yeah, I'm just looking at it. Well, what if Vanderbilt slips up on Tennessee?
If South Carolina beats Clemson, they're going to be 9-3 with losses to LSU, Alabama, and Ole Miss, top 20 teams. And so why is their 9-3 record worse than Alabama's 9-3 record when Alabama's got losses to Vanderbilt and Oklahoma? If you really want to know the truth, South Carolina is going to have an argument if they beat Clemson. Now, I don't know what happens. I don't know if Clemson is in the ACC, if they're out of the ACC championship or not. But what if they mess around and won the ACC and South Carolina had beat them?
Yeah, they
were sitting there at 9-3. Yeah, I mean, why aren't they not?
Since it's a non-conference, I mean, there's an argument to be made maybe in the playoff, but not so much the conference, because conference is what it is.
No, that's what I'm saying.
But
I mean, they're going to be.
Here's one for you. What happens if Georgia Tech breaks bad on Georgia? Georgia Tech can beat Georgia if you catch them just right.
Oh, yeah. Georgia Tech's a quality opponent. I mean, Vanderbilt could beat Tennessee.
Yeah, I know. There's 3 gotcha games out there this week that everybody's got to just be holding their breath.
I mean, Clemson and Miami are tied for second. And so Clemson's their body of work is done in the ACC. And I think I read something that said if Miami wins and Miami's in the ACC championship, but if they lose, then Clemson's going to be in it. So, I mean, you could have, like I said, South Carolina beat Clemson get into the ACC championship game, win it, and then you're going to have South Carolina sitting there at 9-3 with losses to LSU, Alabama, and Ole Miss, with wins over Clemson and with a lot of quality wins, Oklahoma. I mean, they're going to have an argument.
Yeah.
In my opinion. But, a lot of things got to happen. But Clemson at 9-3, I think it's a better looking resume than Alabama.
Yeah. Sorry. I I don't know what I want to happen this weekend. I'd kind of like to see it all go to hell in a handbasket and have like Georgia lose, Tennessee lose, and Clemson lose. I just to see which way they would run.
Oh yeah. Then, like you said, you get. I mean, then who's getting these spots? You know, is the SEC team getting two teams?
Let me just tell you, if all of that happens, Alabama's right back in it because they're not gonna, they're not losing. I mean, they're not gonna let Indiana in over Alabama, even with just one loss. They're not gonna let Boise State in over a 3-loss Alabama team if Georgia loses, and Georgia would still have one more game to play because it's not a conference game. Georgia could lose to Georgia Tech and then lose to Texas in the SEC championship game and be sitting here with 4 losses. Talk about running a wheel off.
Well, and think about this: how does Texas A&M jump ahead of Tennessee into the championship game?
It has to do with the tiebreakers.
Yeah, I know. And so I think it's a mess. My opinion, they need to go back to divisions. Yeah. But that's my opinion.
See, A&M has lost. A&M has 3 losses, but 2 of them are conference. They lost to South Carolina and lost to Auburn. So their only hope of getting in the playoff is to win out and win the championship.
Oh, yeah.
That's how they get in.
Right.
So, I mean, and then they didn't beat up on too many. They beat up on Missouri, and South Carolina beat up on them. They beat up on New Mexico State, only lost to Auburn by 2 points. But now they're coming off that loss and playing Texas this weekend for a chance to go to the SEC championship game.
Yeah, I mean, they got blown out by South Carolina, got beat by Auburn, scrapped Arkansas, scrapped Mississippi State, barely beat Bowling Green.
And I can't tell.
It's not an impressive resume.
I can't tell. Is Colorado is out of the Big 12 championship game as we speak today. That correct? Who's in right now? Because it looks like right now it's Arizona State and BYU.
That's what I think. It's going to be a rematch. Iowa State is.
They're sitting there at 6-2 in the conference as well, but they must have lost to both BYU and Iowa State, which I mean BYU and Arizona State.
Well, if Arizona State, to me, the way I read this, and I'm looking at it, says right now the Big 12 standings: Arizona State, Iowa State, BYU, Colorado in that order, which I'm assuming is based on all the tiebreakers. So if all 4 of those teams won this week, then the standings should hold true, right? And it would be Arizona State and Iowa State in the playoff, correct, or in the championship game, right?
Well, I don't know because I'm looking at the standings I'm looking at. It has Arizona, BYU, Iowa State, and Colorado in that order.
Okay.
But I don't know if that's showing a tiebreaker or, if that's just – I don't know. I don't know if that's the standings. It's hard to tell.
Yeah, that's right. So, because the ones I'm looking at has Iowa State listed second. And it would have to be Iowa State. I don't know if they do it by common opponents. I don't know.
Let's just search it. Big 12 standings.
Yeah, Iowa State's got a loss to Kansas. And a loss to.
All right, here we go.
Oh, they got losses too.
I am on the Big 12 website, and right now it looks like if it was held today, it'd be Arizona State and BYU.
Okay, a rematch of last week's game.
Yeah. Now, Arizona State, let's see, has to play at Arizona this week.
BYU's got a home game against Houston.
Okay. Which is a conference game, but Arizona State is not. No, yeah, it is too. So they both got conference games. They're controlling their own destiny. If they win.
Yeah, Iowa State plays Kansas State.
they'll play each other. If one of them loses, I guess Iowa State will slip in there if they win.
Correct.
All right, well, we'll see. I tell you what, though, if there was ever a week for bring them on out, this was it. Because college football cleaned house on Saturday.
They did.
So, well, I tell you what, I hope everybody has a good Thanksgiving. We're going to get out of here and go see if we can find some turkey and dressing. They killed some ducks Saturday morning, in case you were wondering. 6, 7, or 8, I think, in the slough. And then I think Molly killed some ducks down in South Arkansas this morning, too, so they had limited out before 8:30. So it's that time of year, son. Get you some Thanksgiving. Get you some cheer. We'll see you next week on Speaking Sports. Y'all have a great holiday.